Have you ever felt like you're carrying something heavy, but you can't quite explain what it is? Not a specific problem, not one big crisis, just a weight, a quiet pressure sitting somewhere between your chest and your thoughts. The kind of pressure that follows you through the day. The kind that makes resting feel difficult. The kind that whispers that you should be doing more, fixing more, becoming more. If that sounds familiar, then maybe tonight this is the reminder you need. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because sometimes we spend so much time trying to keep everything together that we forget to check in with ourselves. So wherever you are right now, maybe you're lying in bed. Maybe you're sitting alone with your thoughts. Maybe you're finishing another long day. Allow yourself to settle here for a little while. No expectations. No pressure to learn a life-changing lesson. Just a quiet conversation. And maybe a reminder I wish someone had told me earlier. A reminder that might help loosen the grip of all the emotional pressure you've been carrying. One of the strangest things about being human is how quickly we learn to tie our worth to things outside of ourselves. We don't mean to. It happens slowly. We learn that good grades earn praise. Being helpful earns appreciation. Working harder earns approval. Being easy to deal with earns acceptance. And before we realize it, we begin collecting evidence that our value depends on performance, on achievements, on productivity, on how useful we are, on how well we meet expectations. Somewhere along the way, many of us stop seeing ourselves as people and start seeing ourselves as projects. Projects that always need improvement. Projects that are never quite finished. Projects that somehow always need one more accomplishment before they can finally relax. Maybe you've felt that quiet belief that once you become a little better, a little stronger, a little more successful, then you'll finally feel enough. But the difficult thing is that enough keeps moving. You reach one milestone, then another appears. You solve one problem, then a new one arrives. You accomplish something you've wanted for years, and the relief lasts for a few moments, maybe a few days. Then the pressure returns, because the pressure was never actually about the achievement. It was about the belief underneath it, the belief that your worth still needed to be earned. And maybe this is the reminder. Your worth is not a reward. It's not something waiting for you at the finish line. It's not hidden behind success. It's not reserved for your future self. It belongs to you now. Even on days when you're struggling, even on days when you accomplish nothing, even on days when you're tired, uncertain, emotional, or overwhelmed, your worth remains, like the sky behind passing weather. Clouds can cover it. Storms can darken it, but they never remove it. The sky doesn't have to prove it deserves to exist, and neither do you. Sometimes emotional pressure doesn't come from other people. Sometimes it comes from the conversations happening inside our own minds, the standards we hold ourselves to, the expectations we quietly carry, the invisible scorecards we use every day. Maybe you've told yourself things like, I should be further along by now. I should have figured this out already. I should be stronger than this. I shouldn't feel this way. And maybe you've repeated those thoughts so many times that they sound like facts. But they're not facts. They're pressure. And pressure has a way of disguising itself as truth. The mind becomes convinced that criticism creates improvement, that harshness creates growth, that self-judgment creates motivation. But often, It just creates exhaustion. Imagine trying to grow a plant by yelling at it. Imagine criticizing every leaf that hasn't appeared yet, every branch that isn't growing fast enough. It sounds absurd, and yet many of us speak to ourselves this way every day. We demand blooming during seasons that are meant for resting. We expect certainty during periods of change. We expect strength while carrying invisible burdens. And then we wonder why we're tired. Maybe you don't need more pressure. Maybe you need more compassion. Not the kind that ignores responsibility. Not the kind that pretends everything is perfect. But the kind that recognizes you're human. The kind that understands that growth is not linear. The kind that allows room for mistakes. The kind that says, this is difficult right now, and I'm still worthy of kindness. There are so many people walking around carrying emotional weight that nobody else can see. Responsibilities, heartbreak, anxiety, loneliness, fear, grief, uncertainty. Some burdens are obvious. Others are completely invisible. A person can smile, answer messages, go to work, take care of responsibilities, and still be carrying more than anyone realizes. Maybe that's you. Maybe you've become so accustomed to carrying everything that you've forgotten how heavy it is. Like someone holding a backpack for so long they stop noticing the strain. Until one day, their shoulders ache, and they're not even sure why. If that's where you are, I hope you know that struggling does not mean you're weak. Feeling overwhelmed does not mean you're failing. Needing rest does not mean you're lazy. Being emotional does not mean you're broken. These experiences are part of being human, not evidence against your worth. Sometimes the most exhausting pressure comes from feeling like we have to hold everything together. Like if we stop trying for a moment, everything will fall apart. So we keep pushing, keep managing, keep carrying, keep performing strength, even when we're exhausted. Especially when we're exhausted. But human beings were never designed to carry endless weight without pause. Even oceans have tides. Even forests have seasons. Even the earth rotates between light and darkness. Nature understands something we often forget. Everything needs rest. Everything, including you. Maybe tonight, instead of asking yourself what you need to improve, ask yourself something gentler. What do I need right now? Not next year, not next month, not after you've solved every problem. Right now. Maybe the answer is sleep. Maybe it's quiet. Maybe it's permission to stop thinking for a while. Maybe it's a conversation. Maybe it's a deep breath. Maybe it's simply hearing someone say, you don't have to carry everything tonight. Whatever the answer is, it deserves your attention. There is another reminder I wish someone had shared earlier. You do not have to earn rest. Many people treat rest like a prize. Something reserved for after every task is complete, after every responsibility is handled, after every problem is solved. But life rarely works that way. There will almost always be another task, another email, another concern, another obligation. If rest only becomes available when everything is finished, rest never arrives. And maybe you've experienced that. The guilt of sitting down, the discomfort of slowing down, the feeling that you should be doing something productive, even when you're completely drained. But rest is not a reward for exhaustion. It's part of caring for yourself. Just as water is not earned by thirst, rest is not earned by burnout. Sometimes people believe that being hard on themselves keeps them moving forward, but often the opposite is true. The nervous system responds differently to safety than it does to constant pressure. When we feel safe, we think more clearly, we recover more effectively, we connect more deeply, we make decisions from a calmer place. This is why kindness toward yourself is not weakness, it's support. It's creating the conditions that allow healing and growth to happen, like sunlight warming frozen ground, slowly, quietly, without force. And maybe this next reminder is the one that matters most. You are allowed to be a work in progress and still be worthy of love at the same time, not one after the other. Not once you've healed everything, not once you've figured everything out. At the same time, you can be uncertain and worthy, anxious and worthy, healing and worthy, lost and worthy, tired and worthy, growing and worthy, human and worthy. So often we imagine worthiness as a destination, but perhaps it has always been the starting point. Think about someone you deeply care about, a friend, a sibling, a child, someone whose struggles don't erase their value in your eyes. When they make mistakes, do they stop deserving compassion? When they're exhausted, do they lose their worth? When they're confused, do they become less important? Probably not. You see their humanity, you see their effort, you see the whole person. And maybe you deserve to be seen that way too, especially by yourself. The world can be loud, demanding, fast. There are endless messages telling you to improve, optimize, achieve, compete, and perform. If today was difficult, I hope you're gentle with yourself. If you've been carrying emotional pressure, I hope you remember that you don't have to carry it all alone. If you've been questioning your worth, I hope you remember that worth is not something you earn. It is something you already possess, quietly, steadily, even when you forget, even when life feels messy, even when you're still finding your way. And if nobody has reminded you lately, I'm proud of the fact that you're still here, still trying, still moving forward in whatever way you can. Sometimes that is more than enough. So for tonight, allow yourself to put down the invisible backpack for a moment. Allow your shoulders to soften. Allow your thoughts to become a little less urgent. The night does not need answers from you. It only asks that you rest. And tomorrow can wait until tomorrow. Wherever you are right now, I'm glad you made it here. Thank you for listening, liking, and commenting. Please share Soul Planet with someone who you think may need it.